Good morning, everybody. First of all, I'm Carlos Batlle. First of all, thanks to the Academy and the Societat Catalana d'Immunologia to let us present you this communication that is titled Type 1 Interferonopathies, Macrophage Disease. So, first of all, I want to start with a brief introduction. When the macrophage is activated, they start with the production of reactive oxygen species, or ROS. These reactive oxygen species, its main function is to destroy, to release everything that is inside the phagolysosome, everything that the macrophage is phagocytating, but it can also have a secondary effect. This secondary effect is they produce breaks on the genomic DNA of the cell. So these breaks need to be repaired, they need to be solved, and the cell has different genes that their main function is to detect cytoplasmatic nucleic acids that can be from these breaks, but they also can be from intercellular pathogens like virus. So these genes start different pathways that finishes with the production of type 1 interferons, and these pathways will fight against these intercellular pathogens, and also will start the repair of these breaks of the DNA. Once these breaks are repaired, the cell will survive. It can pass through the anti-inflammatory process, so we have the resolution of this inflammatory process. These genes have been very studied in our group. We have the genes TREX1, RNase-H2, SAMHD1, MD5, FATR1. In this communication, we are going to focus in TREX1. All of these genes merge in two pathways that are STING and MAPS pathways that finishes with the production of these type 1 interferons that also induce the transcription of ISGs, or interferon-stimulated genes, and these genes are the ones that will fight against these foreign pathogens or will lead the repair of these breaks of the DNA. So if everything works well, that's fine, we have the resolution of the inflammatory process, but if we have problems that can come from the mutations of these genes or for an increase of the amount of ROS production that can be, for example, in the immunosenescent cells, as we will see later in aged mice, we have a lot of DNA breaks, or these DNA breaks cannot be repaired. So if the DNA is damaged, the cell cannot survive, so it will pass through apoptosis process, and we will have a chronic inflammation. This chronic inflammation is directly related with autoimmunity and different diseases, and one of them is the type 1 interferonopathies that are the ones that we are going to talk today. So the work or the model that we use in our lab, in our group, is to make an extraction of bone marrow from mice. We culture them in media supplied with MCSF, that is a growth and a macrophage differentiator factor, and we culture them for 1 week, and after this time we put them 18 hours without the presence of this stimulating factor, so we can synchronize all the cell cycles. Then we can stimulate these cells with pro-inflammatory cytokines like type 1 interferons or type 2 interferons or LPS, or anti-inflammatory cytokines like IL-4, and we can also treat them with, for example, NAC, that is a ROS scavenger, so we deplete we reduce the amount of ROS, and we can analyze which are the ROS function here. First of all, I want to show you what I said before about the ROS. Here we have that in bone marrow-derived macrophages of young organisms, when we stimulate them with a pro-inflammatory cytokine, we have an increase of this ROS production, and in aged organisms, we have a bigger increase of this production, but when we add this inhibitor, we see that this ROS amount is depleted, is reduced, and it's reduced also in the aged organisms, at least to the level of the young mice. From here, we are going to put the focus on TREX1, as I said before. So we made a model of TREX1 knockout mice, and we want to study which were the problems that had these mice. In this case, we put the focus in RP8, especially in the subunit 32, that it's a protein that binds to the single-strand DNA. So when you have breaks in this DNA, in the genomic DNA, RPA binds there, it attracts, it brings here the ATR complex, and they start a pathway that finishes with the activation of P53 that will lead the cell to the repair of the DNA, and if the DNA cannot be repaired, will move to the apoptosis process. Once we look at the wild-type mice, we search for the FOCI. We use RPA as a FOCI indicator of this genomic damage. And here you have the wild type without a stimulating or with the stimulation under a pro-inflammatory cytokine. We see that it has more FOCI, so it has more genomic damage. And here we have the knockout, the TREX1 knockout mice, where we can find that without a stimuli, it has more FOCI, so more indicator of this genomic damage, and under the pro-inflammatory cytokine, it has even more DNA breaks. If we quantify this, we made a differentiation between 0 to 5 FOCIs, that is the number that we arbitrarily set that it's like the basal amount of FOCI, and more than 5 FOCI, that is the indicator of genomic damage. We can see that in the knockout we have more amount of this damage, but when we stimulate with pro-inflammatory cytokine, this is much bigger. So of course, these TREX1 knockout mice have a lot of more DNA breaks and more damage. So trying to find a solution for this, we treat the mice with dexamethasone. We inoculated dexamethasone once a week during 9 weeks after the weaning. And here you have the wild-type control, these mice that are inoculated with serum. And this is the knockout control that, of course, the survival is clearly reduced. But when we treat it with this dexamethasone, that is a glucocorticoid that is very important into the anti-inflammatory process in the innate immune system, so it's where our macrophages are located, we can see that this survival of the TREX1 knockout mice is increased. So of course this dexamethasone is working. So we wanted to analyze even more which were the problems of the TREX1 knockout mice. So we analyzed the pro-inflammatory cytokines. We see that in TREX1 knockout mice we have more production of these pro-inflammatory cytokines. We also took a look at the tissues. We see that we put the focus in heart, in lung, in brain, for example, that we have more damage in these tissues. They are damaged compared to the wild type. And, for example, in brain, if we analyze the amount of pro-inflammatory cytokines, we see that they have more pro-inflammatory cytokines. So, of course, these mice, these TREX1 knockout mice, has more damage in the genomic DNA, has more problems in the tissues, has more production of pro-inflammatory cytokines. And from here, we wanted to find a solution that was not temporary as the dexamethasone inoculation, but completely or during a lot of time. So we made a measure of the survival of these mice. This is the wild-type mice that survive more or less for 2 years, and this is the knockout mice that, of course, it's strongly reduced, this survival. So to find a solution to this, to try to compensate these problems of the TREX1 knockout mice, we put the focus on a function is to regulate the fusion and fission of the mitochondria, and this is directly related with the production of ROS and also with the activation and the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines. As you can see here, in the knockout of mitofusin 2, we have the less production of the ROS and less production of these pro-inflammatory cytokines. So we produced this model, we made this model of mitofusin 2 conditional knockout. It's conditional in the myeloid line, so it doesn't produce mitofusin 2 in the macrophages. And in this case, we saw that the survival of the mice were reduced to half. This is because it's true that mitofusin 2 help us to produce less ROS or to produce less pro-inflammatory cytokines, but it also is important in different, for example, in phagocytosis or in mitochondrial fusion, and all of these problems made that the median survival was reduced to half. But when we focus on the TREX1 knockout and we made the double knockout, what we find is that the survival of this TREX1 knockout was moved to the same level as the mitofusin 2 knockout. So this lack of mitofusin 2 was compensating the lack of TREX1 in these mice. Everything of this, what we explained, is because there is a disease that is Aicardi-Goutieres syndrome, that is a type 1 interferonopathy disease that is directly related with these genes that we took at the beginning, and it's affect to these kids that have the problems in the brain development, in the motor control, in the motility, in the development, in the correct development, and also affect the heart. For example, this is a heart of a TREX1 knockout mice that compared to a wild-type heart, it's nearly a double. This is because it's infiltrated for immune cells. So we wanted to focus here to try to find a solution for these kids that they don't live more than 7, 8, 9 years. And to finish, for me, the take-home message that I want to give you is that when the macrophage is activated, it produces these DNA breaks that if they cannot be solved because the depletion, for example, of TREX1 or the increased amount of ROS production will lead the cell to the apoptosis, and the chronic inflammation will make that the survival of these mice is reduced by an 80% unless we compensate it with, for example, the lack of mitofusin 2. And as a future perspective, we are working nowadays to prepare this model of TREX1 knockout conditional mice and mitofusin 2 knockout conditional mice. So this only lack of TREX1 and mitofusin 2 in the macrophages, so we can see or we can confirm that the macrophage is the main the main actor in these type 1 interferonopathies. And anything else? Just say thank you to the Antonio Celada and Jorge Lloveras that are my PIs in the lab, and thank you so much for your attention.
Hi, Carlos. A very nice presentation. I'm curious about the deficiency of TREX1 in other myeloid lineage cells, particularly dendritic cells, in the context of responses to tumors in which they have been shown their interferon, the activation of interferon responses to be important. I don't know whether by having a greater or an enhanced inflammatory phenotype in dendritics or other macrophages might be beneficial against tumors or certain pathologies. On the other hand, it could be actually worse because it might feed chronic inflammation. So do you have some ideas about that?
We have worked in some moments with dendritic cells. We put the focus on macrophages because these genes, the TREX1, for example, all these genes are expressed in macrophages above all, above all other cell types, and because at the end we think, or at least what we think here, is that the macrophage, and it's what we want to show, that the macrophage is the main the main character of this story of the TREX type 1 interferonopathies. So we wanted to put the focus here because we think that if we can, let's say, change or take out these macrophage problems, we will solve, or we can solve these type 1 interferonopathies, or at least a part of them. I don't know exactly what, if you want more concrete question about the dendritic cells, we haven't done this, or at least we haven't done a knockout in dendritic cells. We could do it, but we do not work especially in dendritic cells in this case.
Okay, nice talk. Did you check for a STING modulator in your system?
We have checked about STING modulator, yes, but not in this, in the TREX1 knockout mice. We have checked in an article about the STING modulator, but related to the wild-type model and the paper of STING, but not in the TREX1 knockout mice in these cases. I don't know if you asked for these cases or on the general.
No, I mean you try to use a STING inhibitor in your model just to know the effect in the interferon type 1 interferon response.
Well, in this case, for us it's, and that's why we look at different things in the TREX1 knockout mice, that we show that it's not only important the production in this case of type 1, interferon type 1, that there's also other problems. For example, the increased amount expression of ROS that put these breaks in that makes these breaks in the DNA. So it's important for us to try to check the paper of the type 1 interferons, but also to check the paper of the whole macrophage. So that's why we went directly to mitofusin 2, that directly stops the ROS amount production and reduce the pro-inflammatory cytokines. But yeah, we could use an inhibitor of type 1 interferons to try to find another pathway also that inhibits this. But for us, it's not important because we want to deplete, let's say, the whole machinery of this macrophage that is not working, so we don't need to focus only in one way, let's say only in one pathway. But we haven't checked it.